Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was one of the first world leaders President Trump hosted at the White House to start his second term.
The relationship with India and with the Prime Minister has never been better.
Flash forward 6 months, not only is that relationship on thin ice as Trump slaps India with 50% tariffs, but strained ties with the U.S. have nudged India closer to one of America's biggest adversaries and a country that India, at least until very recently, considered a rival, China. Modi heading to Beijing this weekend, his first time to China since 2018, to attend a summit hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping.
In a stunning escalation, President Donald Trump has ordered a 50% tariff on Indian imports. The White House claims New Delhi's continued purchase of Russian oil directly fuels Moscow's war in Ukraine. A senior US official went further, saying India's actions helped start the conflict. The decision marks one of the harshest trade measures against a key American ally in decades. Although China remains the largest buyer of Russian oil, Trump's tariff focus is squarely on India. Despite its deepening security partnership with Washington, India now faces unprecedented trade punishment. Critics argue the uneven treatment raises questions about Trump's real motives. Analysts say this selective targeting could strain trust in US foreign policy. Peter Navarro has ignited global debate by blaming India for fueling Russia's war machine. The counselor to the president suggested India's oil payments enabled Moscow to launch and sustain the invasion of Ukraine. The accusation is being widely condemned as both inflammatory and historically inaccurate. Indian diplomats call the remarks deeply irresponsible and politically motivated. India has strongly rejected Trump's justification for the steep trade tariffs. Officials in New Delhi say energy purchases are driven by national interest, not geopolitics. They stress that Russian oil helps shield ordinary Indians from global fuel inflation. India insists no foreign government will dictate its energy choices.
Well, I don't want to comment on a person, but let me comment on the subject. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian oil, that is China. We are not the biggest purchasers of Russian LNG. I'm not sure, but I think that is the European Union. We are not the country which has the biggest trade surge with Russia after 2022. I think there are some countries to the south. We are a country where actually the Americans said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy markets, including buying oil from Russia. Incidentally, we also buy oil from America, and that amount has been increasing. So, quite honestly, we are very perplexed at the logic of the argument that you had referred.
The White House's uneven stance has raised alarms among global observers. China, the world's biggest buyer of Russian crude, faces far lighter US penalties than India. Strategists argue Washington is bending rules to avoid a direct clash with Beijing. But the selective targeting of India could backfire, weakening one of America's most crucial partnerships. The economic shock comes at a time when Washington and New Delhi had been deepening ties. From defense deals to high-tech cooperation, both countries recently hailed a shared vision. Now, Tariffs and accusations are casting doubt over the future of the relationship. Analysts warn this could undo years of careful diplomacy and mutual trust.
Prior to the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, India bought virtually no Russian oil. Argument somehow now, as the percentage has gone up to like 30 and 35%, that somehow they need Russian oil to cool their homes or cook or drive their cars is nonsense. Russian refiners have gotten in bed with Italian refiners in a game in which they get cheap Russian crude, follow me here, they get crude at a discount, and then they make refined products which they sell at premium prices into Europe, Africa, and Asia. India, when you think about the tariffs we're putting in place, 25% because they cheat us on trade, 25% because of the Russian oil. They have higher tariffs, there are Maharaja tariffs, higher non-tariff barriers. We run a massive trade deficit with them, so that hurts American workers, hurts American businesses. And in many ways, the road to peace runs through New Delhi.
Indian industries, from textiles to pharmaceuticals, now face steep barriers in US markets. Trade groups warn the tariffs could cost billions in revenue and threaten countless jobs. Exporters are scrambling to find alternative markets to soften the blow. The business community is urging urgent diplomatic dialogue to de-escalate tensions. The White House insists the tariffs are necessary to weaken Russia's military funding. Trump has repeatedly said Indian oil payments keep Moscow's economy alive. He argues that without foreign buyers like India, Russia would collapse on the battlefield. Critics, however, say the reasoning is overly simplistic and politically motivated.
With less than 30 hours to go until his new global tariffs go into effect, President Trump warning he may raise tariffs still farther on key trade partner India, already facing a 25% import tax. That threat coming in a wide-ranging phone interview on CNBC.
I think I'm going to raise that very substantially over the next 24 hours because they're buying Russian oil, they're fueling the war machine, and if they're going to do that, then I'm not going to be happy.
Trump policy uncertainty now affecting disparate parts of the U.S. economy.
Tariffs again did take a bite out of this.
Heavy equipment maker Caterpillar telling investors tariffs could cost their bottom line $1.5 billion this year. Hotel giant Marriott noting a drop in demand from government travel and international visitors to the U.S. And a new AP poll shows more than half of Americans consider the cost of groceries to be a major source of stress. Trump allies facing frustration over the state of the economy.
Why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class?
Economists warn that the tariffs could ripple through global supply chains. India and the US are vital trade partners across pharmaceuticals, IT, and agriculture. Disruptions could raise costs worldwide and destabilize already fragile energy markets. Investors are watching closely as tensions escalate between the two democracies. China has quietly positioned itself to deepen economic ties with New Delhi. Analysts say US tariffs create an opening for Beijing to lure India into closer cooperation. If India shifts further towards Russia and China, Washington's influence in Asia could weaken. This potential realignment alarms Western policymakers already wary of China's rise.
In a major revelation, US President Donald Trump made at least 4 attempts to talk to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi over the phone in recent weeks. But the Indian leader refused to talk to him, according to German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine. The Mainz-based newspaper off record suggests that this to be the result of the depth of Modi's anger, but also his caution. The attempts by President Trump to talk to PM Modi came even as his administration hit India with 50% tariffs, the highest for any country other than Brazil. The Indo-US ties, cultivated over 25 years, hit a rough patch with Trump targeting India for being trade surplus. DC also imposed penalties on New Delhi for India buying crude oil from Russia. The German newspaper claims that Trump tried to call Modi 4 times in recent weeks, but that Modi refused the calls. PM Modi on August 10 took a veiled dig Trump's dead economy remark, asserting that India was progressing towards becoming one of the world's top 3 economies.
US businesses warn that steep tariffs on Indian imports will raise domestic costs. Sectors like generic medicines, IT services, and textiles may face shortages or price hikes. Opponents argue Trump's move risks hurting American consumers more than Moscow. They warn that trade wars rarely end in clear victories. What was once hailed as one of the fastest growing global partnerships is now under strain. India insists it will continue its oil deals with Russia, despite US pressure. Trump has doubled down, vowing that tariffs will remain until India changes course. Observers say the coming months could redefine one of the world's most important alliances. Thank you for watching, and if you liked our content, please support us by giving a like to the video and share it. And for more content like this, subscribe to the channel.